Hey everybody, welcome back to the season. New faces, familiar faces, but more importantly, you all are here. This is your girl, your friend, your cousin, your homegirl, your soror, Camille Essig. I'm the host of the Speaker Podcast. This is the podcast where innovators and creators connect. I definitely need you all to hit that notification bell and subscribe. But more importantly, be sure to follow these gentlemen here. I am welcoming back, and this is a double feature episode. So I'm so excited to have Sealz the man back here on the show, and my brother, Evan Brown, also known as Coach Ed. Gentlemen, welcome back.
What up?
Welcome back. We back here.
Yes. How have you all been? Just to catch up, what's been going on?
Life.
Life has been happening.
That's what it is. It was a great summer. Summer wrapping up, and life is just doing its thing. But we live to see another day.
Awesome. Sealz?
Yeah, like my brother said, life is life, and so just trying to roll with the punches, but try to maximize each and every day, be intentional. Like you said, summer is ending, so now it's time to transition to another season, and another season of being creative. So glad to be here again. Yeah.
Oh, so we're just gonna glaze over the fact that you hit another milestone on YouTube. Like we're just not gonna talk about that. Like,
yeah, man. No.
Is there like a commas involved now? From my understanding.
I don't talk about myself, but yeah, I just crossed. What was it? 100,000. So thank you, appreciate you.
Make a church.
That's a city. That's a big city. We're gonna celebrate that.
Yeah, you need a car or something.
Nah, I appreciate it. I'm almost
about it. That's dope.
Yeah.
1,000 plus.
I get that a lot. People are like, yo, you need to sell it. I'm just like, but I'm thankful. I truly am. It's just I don't know how to express it, but yeah, I feel like when you're doing your calling, whatever the Lord laid on your heart and your spirit, and you just stick with it, and it makes an impact. It makes a positive impact on people. God's going to bless you. He's going to increase your blessings tenfold. So I just been just trying to create positive energy out there, and it's things happen. So
He's so humble. And Evan, you just did a children's book.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
You did.
Yeah, rich kids.
Baby, yes.
Whoa, we gotta talk, man. I didn't know you was doing that.
Yeah, he's doing that. See, I told you two need to be friends.
That's like my dream, bro. Like, so
really,
congratulations to you, man. Like that's awesome. Like, what's the tell us about it? Like, that's
all right. So the book is called Rich Kids. I actually wrote it on a plane 2 years ago. Headed to New York for a week of church, and I got this idea. I've been writing for a while. I've got a couple books and stuff out, but I was like, you know what? Let me just write something for my nephew, because what happened was my nephew, his mom took me to the airport, and he was reading the book, and the book had a kid that did not look like him, and I was like, there's no reason that this black kid with this curly hair should be reading a book with this kid on the front of it that doesn't look like him. And honestly, did a little research, realized it's not a lot of black men are writing children's book. Boom, children's book is here. So,
congrats,
yeah,
bro.
Thank you.
We are great uncles. I can see it already because I started my YouTube channel for my 2 young nieces.
Wow.
I literally started just to talk about us understanding men.
Mm-hmm.
Now look,
he
what
cracked the code for real, and I'll be like, say what?
Yeah.
It's
uncles,
so good.
uncles out here doing their thing.
Really,
bro.
really are.
Because good black men still exist. That's fine.
Yeah. Dope.
Awesome. So I definitely want to make sure we plug those things at the end of this episode and definitely hop into this conversation. And please, gentlemen, connect offline because I feel like you have information that can help each other. So
Facts.
Really good. So hopping back in, Evan, the last time we were here, we had a conversation talking about performance exhaustion with men and how you go through these phases of always having to achieve and excel and do and grow. But it's like when you have a moment to kind of step back and what impact does it have on your psyche and your emotions?
Yeah, we had a really good argument last time I was here, but you didn't bring that part up. But okay. But yeah, that performance exhaustion, I'm glad that you, in our conversation, you gave language to it because, of course, like, sometimes when you don't have the terminology for what you're experiencing, it just kind of leaves you bewildered and going sometimes on a circle in the path. But you really kind of put something in front of me in our last conversation that I've had to live out, which has been intentionally creating the space to stop. Because it is, as men, you're taught you got to provide, you got to build, you got to do all these things. And the world and your family and culture wants you to do it and to show up every day as your best self. But nobody's telling you that rest is a part of you being your best self. So I have been forced to kind of like live it out. So thank you for that. But I do believe it's one of those things that as men, we have to be cognizant of that we can't really be Superman all the time. Superman eventually goes to bed.
Sealz?
Yeah, I agree, man. Superman, he eventually goes back to Clark Kent. Like, he's not always on full go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Imagine doing regular life as Superman, like grocery shopping is like that's too much. But there was actually I think we talked about this last time we was on here. Like, I had to stop social media. I had to stop posting. I stopped YouTube. I stopped everything because, like, I realized my performance was decreasing as my production was increasing, and that was because I was getting burnt, bro. Like, I started to lose focus of why I actually started doing this. Once money gets involved, you start making money off of your stuff. Once you start gaining a support base, now you feel like you're obliged to support your support base. So now it's like, I can't give up. I can't stop. They're waiting on me to produce, so I increased my production, but my sanity, my peace, even my health, my mental health started to decrease because I was burning myself out. So, performance is definitely,
And it's crazy. I don't want to jump in. I know we got our talking
points. No, please.
Think about I've been in church my whole life. Women are taught, they're encouraged from jump in their sister circles in their communities, to always connect to your why. As men, why is never the thing that's put in front of our face. Nope. It is always hit these numbers, hit this metric, and get your money. And nobody's ever saying that, you being connected to your why will tell you, and sometimes kind of signify, let me break. Let me figure out I'm not, I'm doing this and I'm disconnected from why I really started doing this. So to hear you say that, I instantly thought about that. I was like, you know what? Because honestly, even as aware as I am, my why doesn't always just jump to the forefront. Sometimes I get pressured by culture. I get pressured by family. I get pressured by what society says a man should be doing. And you forget the real reason behind why you're doing what you're doing.
Right.
So in saying that, Sealz and Evan, do you think for women, we're more emotionally wired, but for men and young boys growing up, it turns more into like a robotic type thing where you're like on autopilot because it is get the money, hit the numbers, but you don't have the opportunity to explore your why or your purpose or have those emotional internal moments to think about, well, what does this tie into my assignment? How does this impact my assignment? How do I feel about this? Like, do you guys feel that way? Like, you feel more like it's a robotic thing, like almost like autopilot?
I don't want to get in trouble on this podcast.
No, be honest, bro, because I'm going to be honest with you. One thing about me, I'm going to know.
That's what I asked. Like, this is a safe space. We have honest conversation. That's, so let's go.
It's definitely, I guess, robotic is I guess a good term for it, but it's a cultural thing. Our families, the women in your family are telling men what they need and what they shouldn't be and should not be in the same breath. But it's like, then you get shocked that men operate from a place where purpose, assignment, and all those things are almost coined as like female terms. I do the marketing and branding space for a living, and it's so many men that are completely unaware of the fact that men have branding strategies and things, because everyone you hear talking about branding and marketing is a girl with a pink shirt on, the zebra background, and a power suit. So I do think it's become robotic, but it's a cultural issue if you ask me. It's what's being taught and what's being shared, what's being communicated, sometimes verbally and intentionally, but also unintentionally communicated. Because, one thing that everybody listens to is music. And some of the stuff that is being shared in some of the songs, it's like, it perpetuates a cycle that a man has to be in this lane for him to be considered a man, for him to be considered worthy, honorable, or whatever it may be. So, yeah, it's gotten robotic. It's gotten very routine. But I think to me, it's a cultural issue that we have to attack there before we can see any kind of growth out of it.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's a cultural issue. It's a societal issue. It's almost like a class issue too. So
yeah,
I always think about the bias in today's world, right? Like how men are held at a certain bias and how women are held at a different bias. Like there's certain things that we can do that a women can't, or some things they can do that we can't, So I always go back to the psychology of the gender roles, right? So I strongly believe that men are very logical thinkers. That could be considered robotic. And women are more nurturers of their emotions more than men, right? So men, we can't rely on our emotions because we are result driven, right? So we have to get things done, no matter what. Like Coach was saying, like no matter what, we have to get things done. Women, they're nurturers, so they're almost like the farmers while we're the hunters. And as a hunter, we have to think a certain way, and it kind of affects our relationships with women because that's when the arguments come in the differences of thinking, right? Like you're thinking this way, but I'm thinking this way because I have to think this way in order to survive and in order to provide, in order to build. Why women think a whole nother way. And that's where the friction sometimes comes in. Now we live in a society where everyone's talking about what's the definition of man? What's the definition of manhood? What back in the day, in order to be a man, you had to work, you had to do this, you had to do that. Now there's different types of men, and it's being broadcasted. Like you talked about marketing, it's being marketed to be a different type of man. I ain't got to go into detail, but so now
I call it a red pill, blue pill conversation. Like,
yeah,
it's become a debate online as far as gender roles, and I always say what works for your relationship in your home, but it's almost like an us versus them conversation. I don't really like it. I do hear the conversation because I am in the media space. But at the end of the day, what works for your home and not work here and vice versa. So,
yeah, true. And I'm never about negativity. So I hate to. I feel like everyone shouldn't have a podcast or a microphone these days, but it's free. It's free to talk your mess online. So a lot of hurt people are expressing their hurt, and it's becoming popular. So
yeah, Simp Nation is real.
Yeah. So what can you do? But and I also like to think about how, like you said, you have to do what's best for your relationship and for your family and for your home. One thing I always tell women is that don't be afraid to congratulate or give a pat on the back for things your man does that he's supposed to do, right? Because we feel like we're doing the things we do in the household, in the family, in the society because we have to do it as a man. And I always, tell women like we don't need thanks because that is a responsibility for us. But it is awesome to get thanked for because we barely get thanked for anything. We barely get complimented for anything. So I always say it's always a plus to big up your guy, big up your man for the things he's supposed to do, but doesn't have to do, So that's another thing about manhood and the differences and all that.
Evan's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Wholeheartedly, I am a different person when I'm constantly affirmed.
Yeah.
I can see it. I can see it.
Yeah.
There's a lady I used to work with the job that I just quit. She would call me, "Good morning, snack." She was older lady, call me a snack. And you know what? She said it one day.
Auntie was calling you snack.
Yes.
That was your nickname, snack.
No, seriously. And you know what? The first time it was funny. The second time it was funny. The third time, I'm like,
for real. She called you snack.
Yes, every morning. Good morning, snack.
Oh,
but you know what's crazy? As yes, it's a violation of HR, and yes, I could sue APS if I needed to. But I will tell you this.
But she didn't mean it like that. I mean, or she really calling you like you said.
He said,
So what it did for me, I'll talk about what it did for me. It kind of put a different pep in my step in the morning. It kind of I found myself starting to go from like, let me just throw this on to like, okay, let me go. I noticed a very small incremental changes, and I could automatically direct it back to this woman affirms me every morning, and she may be flirting, but it's affirmation. Yeah. It is somebody that I'm not.
Shirt that says, but I'm a meal. That's what you said.
I probably should, but so I can totally understand and agree that men do need to be told thank you. We do need to be supported, but that affirmation does really, really, really change a man, even if it's something small, even if it's something funny, but the consistency of that really will kind of shift what a person does on either end, whether male to female, female to male.
Yeah, that's really good. I guess going deeper into this question, as far as when you're feeling exhausted, what does recharge look like for both of you?
You can go, Cook.
But my recharge is going to be my sofa, a little yak, and my hookah.
There you go. Okay.
That's one of the ways that I recharge. It's one of my easiest ways, because I can't always get outside and go for a walk. Like when my stressor, when I hit that meter during the workday, I'll close all this stuff down. I'm going outside for a walk for 15 minutes. But I don't care what you do as long as you find a way to have that personal time, that outlet. I know people that go sit on the ground, do the whole grounding. I know some people dance. People do a lot of things, but to me, that is like my quiet time. Me, television, a few vices that keep me calm, and then I go from there. And I mean, it works. So I can't always book a trip to leave.
I heard you said that.
And I do.
I heard you said that you quit. Are you full time now, an entrepreneur?
Yes and no. So I'm a firm believer in having your dream, your visions and stuff, but you also have a job. That's what I believe. So I still have quite a few different things working, but I did just leave the space that I was in.
Okay. Yeah. The reason why I asked is because like people think it's all butterflies and glitter when you're a full-time entrepreneur, right. Mm-hmm. But when you don't have something occupying your 9 to 5, it's even harder to recharge. Yeah. It's like
absolutely.
You have to literally, especially if you're doing it from home, like your home is your work base, you have to literally separate yourself from your work. So that means separating myself from my home. I have to go somewhere. I can't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I'm a homebody like you. Like I got this bean bag, bro. It's amazing. Like I touch
Target or Walmart.
Bruh, automatic. And also, you a drinker. Yo, get a Bartesian. It's like a machine that makes your drinks for you.
I'm very familiar.
Oh, all right.
5 minutes or less, like no, but seriously, it is one of those.
Yo, but all right, you on that. Yo, see, I'm gonna put you on that too.
I don't drink.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Don't start.
It's okay. No, it's fine. I'm not Catholic either. It's okay.
For me, recharging is just like I said, separating myself and doing the things that makes me happy, right? Because doing the things we do, creating content and being an entrepreneur, it's a calling, it's a passion, but it does not always make you happy. It's not something that is, oh yes, I cannot wait to edit these videos that I just, bro, it ain't like that. You know, it ain't all butterflies and glitter. So I literally have to go out and take my spirit and my actual being outside and do something, anything, working out, going to the park. And for me, I love traveling. So traveling is a big thing for me, but to go somewhere new, you know, stuff like that. And then when you come back, that feeling when you come back, it's unmatched because you're inspired. One of the reasons why I like going to the gym, besides actually working out, is talking to the older gentlemen, like talking to people who have lived life. Like, you will be inspired by some of the things you hear in random places. And they tell you these things. You're just like, oh man, I'm not working hard enough. Or oh man, my ceiling is not, it's way higher than what I thought it was. Talking to this guy, he's, you know, doing whatever he's doing. It just inspires you. So like, I see you ask, like, how do you charge up? It's a multifaceted, because you separate yourself from your entrepreneurship, but also getting inspiration from some external source is another charge up. That fills your battery. That fills my battery. So like, separate yourself and getting out and charging up is super important.
That's really good. I really wanted you all to definitely take the floor on this, just because I feel like men, particularly Black men, don't have enough space in the digital realm to share and really kind of vent their thoughts and feelings. And so that's why when y'all are talking, it's not that I don't have anything to say, but I really don't want to interrupt your flow of thought and just connect and share these conversations, just because I feel like men need to hear these conversations. I'm not a man. I'm here to really kind of just facilitate the space while you all go forth in the conversation. So I really appreciate both of you all for being transparent in that. Sealz, you said something and it triggered a thought for me when you talked about shutting down social media. And I was sharing with Evan before we went on air, as far as after the last season, I took a hiatus. Right now, like, my websites are not even back. Everything, just because I was loving what I was doing. It, like you said, it became more of a demand, and I started to question everything, on top of personally going through some other things. And I just really kind of got funk, you know, in this space. And I was like, what good am I to my audience and those that support me if I'm not at my best right now? And so I made the decision to go on hiatus throughout the summer, just for me to go through the ebbs and flows of whatever space I was in and what I was experiencing. And I did not know initially what that was or how to define it. I just knew I had this feeling in this place that I was in, and I didn't like it. And lots of questions. And so, like I was telling Evan, I did a Zoom call with a couple of ladies, and we had a conversation with Dr. Carrie Turner from New Birth and a few other ladies, and just having girl talk. And she said something, and it just clicked, and I was like, oh, that's what I'm feeling right now. And once I was able to really put a finger on where I'm at, why I feel the way I do, then I was able to better process those feelings. And in doing so, stepping away from social media, I might have posted here and there, but as far as like really going live, didn't do it. No episodes. I ran a lot of previous broadcasts, but as far as going live and doing the interviews, I just did not have it in me to give. And I had even contemplating stepping away altogether. And I want to say July, I was in a space like, I don't even miss this, because there can be such a demand on creating to the point where it's like, it's taking, like, we're supposed to give as creators, but I felt like it was taking more than I was giving, if that makes sense. It wasn't reciprocal. And so that's when I was like, I definitely need to pull back from this and just take a moment and focus on me, love on me, pour on me, recharge. Because if you don't, you can become resentful because you're giving, putting out content all the time. And so when I got to that point, I was, let's step back and hit the reset. And I'm glad that I did. Because sometimes we need to be able to really filter through thoughts, feelings, and do so in a way without the pressure of social media and performing or producing or creating. And so when you said that a few moments ago, that resonated with me because I totally understood that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. And you seem like you had thoughts. No.
So I don't have no thoughts really about the social media. I think it's all about always choosing you and doing what you need to do for you, no matter what that looks like. Because for everybody it may be different. Mm-hmm. So just doing something when you know you need to is the most important thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think recognizing it is very important. You think about so many people that don't recognize it, they miss all the red flags, and they keep going. Their social media or digital career is going up, or even see with movie stars, right? And then they hit this pinnacle and they crash, and then we're like, oh my God, like, they have everything, and how are they falling into substance abuse or depression or suicide? And it's because they didn't handle those things before they reached this space. And I think sometimes when we're kind of here, this is the time to take care of those things and to really do some soul searching, because if you don't know who you are, your purpose, your voice, before you go viral or have that moment, you're going to get there. You might have the access to the people, the money, but now have the vice, you're going to crash. If you have a vice, you're going to crash. And so this is the opportune time to really dot your I's and cross your T's within yourself, because if you don't do it now, it's definitely going to come out later. So going on, I do want to talk about men and stating what you need in a relationship. I know we see so many spaces where women have, we have these girl boss brunches and waiting to exhale moments and girls trips and weekends and brunch. In Atlanta, brunch is like almost next to church. It's like you have to do it. So all these spaces for the ladies, but what does that look like, for men, as far as communicating your needs in a relationship? And when I say need, your conversation about going back to the red pill, blue pill, I'm not saying need like I need her to cook and wash my clothes. No, but as far as your emotional needs, like what do you need in a relationship, and what does that look like, or how do you communicate that?
So this is great. So as a notoriously single friend, that's what I'll call it for today. I've always recognized this. The more mature I get, the more my needs or what I need has evolved. Because sometimes when you're 33, 34, you realize some of the stuff that you wanted in 25, 24, 26 was trivial. But I'm also probably not, I'm a pretty good communicator. From jump, which are personalities. That's part of my personality. So I don't enter too many spaces where I have not communicated like some preliminarily, I don't want to call them requirements, but some preliminary thoughts, There's
like, a bar. There's a bar,
But I would say, I will go on a limb and say, and I'm no relationship expert by any means, but I would say that the needs probably are the exact same. Men need the same thing that women need. Now, is it communicated differently? Yes, because it probably has to be asked and pulled out in certain parameters and certain spaces, especially within inside of men, because most men are not taught early on, and sometimes their home structures and their cultural circles to communicate how they feel. So them understanding how they feel and being okay with how they feel, and then to communicate how they feel. That's 3 different tiers. That's 3 different, moments in time that have to be handled sensitively and delicately, because we are not wired, or we're not encouraged in the beginning to be more expressive of our thoughts, or even to embrace how we feel, even if it's for a moment. That has not always been the structure that we've been kind of raised in, or the system that we've been raised in. And that's primarily because that's not the system that our parents were raised in. So they taught us what they did because honestly, what they did worked for them for the time that they were in. However, we're in a different day and age, different society, different culture. I think people now need to be more aware and okay with their emotions at this point in time, because there's so many things that could happen because of your emotions that you need to be aware of all of the cards in your hand. I hope that makes sense.
No, that makes total sense.
Yeah, that's good. Sealz?
Yeah, for me, like I just feel like this should probably go across all bases, but like you need a best friend. I need a best friend, like in my girlfriend, like I and eventually my wife. I see a lot of relationships where they're built off of attraction. You'll hear a lot of our brothers say, "Yo, she bad, bro. I gotta get with her. Like I'll marry her. I'll have kids with her." And you don't know her from a can of paint. Like you don't know how her personality mixes with yours. You don't even know if she like your type. You don't even know if you like her type. But to have a best friend in a woman is like the best feeling ever. Like when things aren't going well, you can always depend on your friendship before anything. You could depend on that she's your rock and you're her rock. Before y'all got into this love thing, y'all were best friends. Y'all know each other. Y'all know how each other work. So y'all have a foundation. I hate to see I hate to see a lot of these relationships because you can tell it's based off of pure lust. Like, and most of the time they don't even last. Like, look at all these divorces nowadays. Like, it's like a trend now. Like, every week it's a new divorce. It's like, yo, what is going on? It's crazy. So, like, for me, like the biggest thing for me is we have to be friends. Like, we have to be friends. Like, that's it for me. Like,
yeah, I think that's good. That's important. Always be even before getting to the relationship part, just as a person, I need to see you in different seasons or cycles of life. Like, do you have seasonal depression in the holidays, because you miss your grandma? How do you handle that? Or do you have anger management? Like, if you're upset, are you punching holes in the wall? Or do you close the blinds and you don't shower for a couple of days? Like, I need to see how you're handling disappointment or sadness, or how are you handling springtime, because now it's sundress season. Like, how are you acting, sir? If we're out, are you like, yeah, babe? And I'm like, hello, because your attention, Evan, you live in BBO headquarters. You know what I'm saying? So it's
where you at? Where you at?
Atlanta.
Woo! Say no more.
I'm just being honest. Like, I need to know these things. And so your definition of relationship, because people feel like, oh, well, we're together, but then they have openness in their relationship. I'm not with that. Are you with, like, you have to have these conversations, just to see, are they someone of integrity just in their day to day, like if you go to the store and she brings you up for $5 and it's really $8, are you going to speak up? Like, I need to see, are you a man of integrity? I need to see how you're moving every day, because if you're doing this on the little things, what would you do in a big situation? So that's important. Friendship, personality traits, handling appointment, how do you handle success? Do you, I don't know, you forget your friends after you make it, or do you talk down to the server at a restaurant? I need to see you in different facets, in different layers, in different situations, environments. I did a post on social media back in the spring, and the whole point was on respect, right? So I was out with a group of ladies. One of the ladies, she does these lost girl brunches, whatever, and we were getting things for an event, and I was with them, but there was someone between us. And so I was observing how she was treating the cashier. And so she was talking crazy to the cashier. The cashier was an older woman, could have been any of our mothers or of our grandmother. And I just watched this girl disrespect her. And you could tell the lady had a long day, had a lot going on. And so she was still polite to this event host. And I'm thinking, like, here you are hosting this empowerment girl boss brunch, encouraging women, but yet in your day to day, because she's serving you, you treat this lady like trash. And I thought to myself, I would never support any other thing that she hosted, podcast, book, brunch, just because the hypocrisy. Like, you put this face on, like you love God, you're encouraging, whatever, but throughout that day, I watched her mistreat people, and it wasn't a one-time deal. But she didn't realize I saw or heard her just because in the line there was someone between us. She didn't even realize I was there. And so later on, girl, and went back to the empowerment conversation. And in my mind, I'm like, girl, and so in that, even with females I'm cool with, so taking that and then putting that in a relationship or interaction with men, I observe a lot. And so if I see these things, and now you're like, well, Cam, she kind of cute, I'm gonna see what's up. Bye. Because no, your character, titles, money, brands, connections, I don't care. Your character is trash, and I want no part of it.
Yeah, it's facts. And Evan, you touched on this real quick too. You said as you get older, your needs change, right? So, yeah. Like for me, I'm in that time of my life where I'm like, I'm being 100% honest. I'm not trying to sugarcoat nothing. I don't have time for anything now. So it's like, yo, what is it? Like, what do we like? I'm straight to the point now because we don't have time to waste, man. And we're entrepreneurs, and that's another reason why we like have to be more direct with our requests, our prerequisites, like you was talking about early in the video. We got to be more serious about our time. I've cut plenty of people off because people like to waste your time. And back in the day, that was cool because we had all the time in the world to do whatever we wanted to do. We don't have that no more. I see people leave this earth every week, and it's just like, oh, somebody who died, like
unexpected passing. Yeah,
it's crazy, and it's like, yo, they had plans that day. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't have time for nothing. I'm serious about my life, more serious than ever. This is my need, and if you can't handle it, it's cool. No grudge. We can separate, we do our things, but like all of my relationships are prioritized now. Friendships, business-ships, relationships, everything's prioritized. Has to be. Otherwise, you're just going to be doing the same stuff in a cycle, a toxic cycle, a wasting time cycle. Nobody got time for that.
Yeah, my two words are purpose and intention. And so that's how I look at everything now as far as with purpose and intention. Like even having you two here and to connect purpose and intention. And so if that's not a factor, then my next question is, or next word is proximity. So now I have to shift my proximity with you. And there are people that I may have been really close to, but because I took time to look at purpose and intention, proximity has changed. Because why? I've looked at your character. So now, again, proximity has changed. Yeah. Evan, you're in deep thought, bro.
Oh no, I'm not. I was agreeing.
Yeah, because your face, you were just like, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was connecting I agree.
He was like, is it my turn?
No, it's all good. But definitely, I'm really enjoying this conversation.
Oh, hold on. Before you go any further, because you made a statement when you were going through your list of things. You said if you're at the grocery store and your tab is $5, $8, or whatever, is that really a reason you wouldn't date somebody? Because I'm a firm believer in scan one, bag one.
Well, I gotta hear this.
So that's stealing, right?
Huh?
You
said what?
Isn't that stealing? You scan one, bag one.
Inflation price sets? Is that really you want to
I
really
work at
dive
a law
into it?
firm, and I don't do well in orange.
Because
No,
if we want to say who stole, like the stealing happens before it hits the shelf. To be honest, with the pricing gaps, with the cost of goods, with the dates and stuff, even with the preservatives that are put inside of the stuff that we're eating, that is where the stealing is happening. Just something for you to consider.
I just made all this deep. This right here is getting on my nerves. You know,
I never got past. I said, no, not the grocery store, not the first cookout. I said, oh no.
Oh my gosh, yo. Oh my gosh.
I'm not going to jail as an accessory. You want to get watching your discount, man to God. I'm sorry. The coupon king, you can do that. No, sir. No, sir. Out of all that, that was the only thing that stuck.
He held on to that too. Like, hold on. He's like, I'm gonna go back to that point.
I just made an eloquent.
You did, but I'll even say this. You did, and it was a great point. But when you mentioned even like some of the events and some of the circles, I really wish women would kind of just accept the fact that men are not thinking about things at that depth most of the time until they're a certain point. So unintentionally, is it fair to have certain levels of expectation, knowing that the mindset has not matured to the place or space of what you want? Just something that I wonder. I don't know what goes on in some of the.
If you're not in that maturity space, I'm not for you, because at this point, like, I'm 44 years old, so I can't be with you out in public where shopping is pleasure and you scanning one and bagging one, and I'm in a law firm, and now I got to hire one of my own attorneys and try to explain this. I'm at a point now where I have gone to school and done things. I got too much to lose. I don't do it in orange. I'm not trying to share my cornbread with nobody. Too many people died in the Fulton County jail. I can't do it. And then at 44, if I see that because of where I am and how I'm dating intentionally, I'm not dating right now, for the record. But my mind is, if this person is looking for a spouse, let's say we're married and you did that and our son is here and our son sees you do that. What are you teaching him? So that's how I'm thinking. I'm thinking of, if you're so comfortable doing this and you take our son out somewhere and you're doing this, what are you introducing or telling our son that it's okay to do, or our daughter it's okay to do? So I'm thinking beyond this. I'm thinking as far as, I'm not one of those, oh girl, he might be my husband. Like, I'm not saying that. I'm just using it as a hypothetical. What if he is the one? And so now I'm looking at because it's the mindset that raises the child, right?
Yeah.
I don't care how snatched she is, how bad she is. It's her mindset that's going to raise your child. We see that all the time on social media, where these beautiful people, but as parents, they're trash, and they should have never brought a human being into this world because their mind is so warped on what they're doing with their kids, Or like you said before, you're with this person, it's a lustful situation, it's not love, but then they're fighting over child support where they're demanding $80,000 a month in child support. Crazy, so we see this. So it's, yes, I do. I had this conversation with somebody earlier and they berated me about it because they were asking me, we were out somewhere and they asked me, what did I want in a husband? And so I ran down some of my things. And I said to her, I still want to be attracted to him. Like, I gotta want you to touch me. I don't care about care. There has to be that physical connection as well, on top of the character, on top of the integrity and those things as a combination. And something you said, Evan, you made the comment about, as you get older, your needs evolve. And that's true, because what I thought I wanted at 25 or 30, even at 35, now at 44, I'm looking at some things differently now as far as the man, because it's like the stuff can go away, But if he's that type of man, he can make that again in his sleep. That's nothing. But at the end of the day, how do you handle the loss? How do you handle the ebbs and flows? And so the vetting process or that filtering process for me now is very different. So that's kind of my take on some of that. But yeah, we're not scanning one and bagging one because I'm seeing the parking lot. So.
Y'all funny, man. Y'all funny.
Hey, I'm being honest. So, well, Evan, you seem like you had something else to say.
No, I was still laughing at that.
Oh, what now?
One thing I'll say, I have been in a relationship with a thief, and I didn't find out. I was like low key. I found out, right, and she was like stealing like small stuff from the mall and stuff like that. And I was younger, you know what I mean? So I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna ride with you all the time. After a while, I was like, hold on.
Not you a ride or die.
Yeah, I was like, hold on, what am I doing, yo? If she goes down, I'm going down. So I'm like,
You're both going there.
Yo, I told her, I was like, yo, you can't be doing that around me or with me, period. Because I'm like, yo, it's a bad look on me. And now everybody like, yo, oh, Sealz, you go with that thief. You in a relationship with that thief. Now you make me look bad. Nah, I had to cut that off, man. And she was great, man. But you just never know people, yo. They be out here stealing, yo.
Just for me, as far as my moral compass, I just can't roll with that. That's just a part of my moral compass. And again, things like that first and last lunch, brunch, whatever. Like, my moral compass, I can't do it. And then from a legal standpoint, even if you are innocent, just because I'm there, I'm going to get charged as an accomplice. And by us being of the melanated community, how that looks. So it's just like, I want no parts of that. And it's not that deep. It's really not that deep. But moving on. So I am so thankful to have you all here. Evan, you touched on something earlier when you talked about writing your book for your nephew and creating something that he could resonate with. So since doing that, have you thought about other projects for other Black and brown children, or was that just a one and done?
Yeah, so I have, I did that to meet a need, if I'm 100% honest. And it was a good thing. I don't have to make a career of children's books. That was probably, I've been publishing books for about 5.5, 6 years now. Children's books are often the hardest to put together because, of course, they're for children and different things of that nature. But that did give leeway to me creating this program called Entrepreneurs in the Making, where I teach Black and brown kids at Title I schools, like foundational principles of entrepreneurship, because there are quite a few school districts in this country that do not offer entrepreneurship tracks. And you'd be surprised because a lot of the small businesses or the big businesses and corporations that we love, some of them are still considered small businesses because they're under 500 employees. But then most importantly, they started off as small and grew to be big. And I don't want to make this about the system, but the system is not designed for people that look like me to win. But the only way the system is going to be rerouted and broken down and rebuilt is that if people get the information they need early. A lot of the stuff that we're getting at 33, 34, 38, would have been monumental at 21. But if the educational system is not created to teach that and empower that, we've got to get that level of information to one another in whatever way that we can. So even with the EITM program, that was just my way of trying to get some sort of relatable real life information on entrepreneurship to kids that now have access to money. They can make money from their phones. I got kids at the school that were day traders and they're making $200-300 a day. And I'm like, and they're just trading, and think about how many Black people have no idea about the inner workings of trading and how it goes. I don't. And I watched them trade and I'm seeing them make money. Like, let me cash out you $100, flip it into something,
So guess what? Sealz is a day trader.
Wow, look at that. It just kind of goes to show like the many different routes to success. And that's one of the things that I am pushing. If I never coached another adult business endeavor, entrepreneur, chaser, whatever, dream chaser, I'll be fine because I'm in a space now where I am helping people get information that could do 10 times more with than what I ever could.
Mm-hmm.
They're smarter than us. The same way that we're smarter than our parents. You know, their generation that's come behind us, they are smarter than us in some ways.
Yeah.
And not every way, but in some ways, they're more, you know, they can sit down and they can retain information on the computer screen. And I've watched kids teach themselves how to code. And coding is still going to be a 6-figure salary, and depending on what industry you end up in, no degree needed. So to say that book opened the door for me to start to think of, not trying to be funny, other ways that I could diversify my financial portfolio. Because, you know, as a small business coach, everybody is branding and marketing, blah, 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 you know, no credentials, no experience, none of that kind of stuff like that. But not everybody's saying I developed a program to teach kids that look like me in Title I schools, niche specific, how to build businesses and how to start entrepreneur endeavors, and also how to identify what skills inside of them are monetizable. Because we don't, you know, and I have a philosophy about this. Everybody wants to be a brand. Everybody's so focused on their brand. And then respectfully, all of us are not brands. And then, or some of you all can still be brands. But if we start to flip the switch and start to view ourselves as businesses, it changes the way we handle stuff. We're so focused on being a brand. I'm a brand. This is bad for my brand. You're not. I'm a business. You'll never hear me say I'm a brand. I am a business. I am a walking transaction of some kind, with information, finance, whatever it may be. And so I'm not going to scale myself down or water myself down by calling myself a brand when in all actuality I'm a money generating machine.
That's another conversation. I definitely want to bring you back for that, because I'm sitting here like,
because people are always saying, you know, my brand, and I love it, I get it, you know, but it's another example as to why people that look like us are at least 5 to 10 years behind still, because people that don't look like us, you don't hear Katie on Instagram talking about my brand. No, Katie is using her Instagram to sell Kylie Jenner cosmetic stuff, and she's got a 6-figure salary. Yeah. Katie's a business, not a brand.
Yep. But we are thinking.
Yeah, we the people are so focused on seeing ourselves in this well-crafted aura story that we've painted, not recognizing that painting that we put of ourselves is not guaranteed to make any money.
Yeah.
So I'm not a brand, I'm a business.
Yep.
Love it. I actually love that. Sealz?
Yeah, I totally agree. And just to piggyback off of that, I think the power and the secret to success is wording, how you speak to yourself, how you speak around yourself, how you speak to people, right? So like just like you, I never say I'm a brand, because as a business, a brand is part of my business, but a brand is not me. You know what I'm saying? Like, because like people, they cheapen themselves so much. Like, bro, you just a brand? You just a fruit of a loom? Like, like you are more than that. Like I want everybody to look at themselves like treasure, priceless, one of a kind. A brand ain't touching that. Another thing,
the real money makers are not calling themselves brands. They're not even mentioning the term brands.
Right.
What they are doing, they're mentioning their business endeavors and how they've turned their name. And they're not talking about brands.
Yes. And when you think like that, when you think like, you know, the famous quote, I'm a businessman. I'm not a businessman. I'm a businessman. Like, you got to think yourself like that, because, so this is another thing, right? I don't call people who rock with me fans. I've always hated that word, because there's a certain idolatry to that, right? Because I tell people straight up, I'm not perfect. On my YouTube channel, I talk about all the things I've went through, all the mistakes I've made. Like, I ain't trying to act like I'm some perfect dude. I'm learning every single day, and I'm just telling you about my experience every day. So, like I call the people who rock with me my supporters, my support base. Because when you look at the people who rock with you as your support, it's almost like a clientele. Like they support what I do. They support my product. They support my content. Fans come and go. You never want a fan as a customer. That is the worst thing you can ever do. Because guess what? When you mess up, when you go through some scandal or something, those fans are out of here. So
cancel culture is real.
Yeah. So if those fans are your customers, so is your money. I don't want fans. I want people who support me, because people who support you are going to be there. You know what I mean? So it's all about wording. It's all about how you talk to yourself. Another thing with me, I talk to myself all the time. Call me crazy. I talk to myself in the shower. When I'm walking, I talk to myself. I'm always on an ongoing journey to better myself. And if I think of a good idea, that was a good idea. How can we magnify on that? How can we make the most out of that idea? Like, let's talk, bro. I don't care what nobody think.
Man, I call mine staff meetings.
Yeah.
But also talking, how many times I arrived at an epiphany, or I got a revelation or something by talking it out.
Yeah, write it down, talk it out. Don't let it die, because there's been plenty of days. Sure. Yes, there's been plenty of days, and I'm still mad at myself, or plenty of nights where I'm laying in my bed and I think of the most amazing thing. I start to do something else. I start to scroll on Instagram or something, and now I forgot it. And now I'm sitting there thinking, trying to rewind time. Like, it's going.
You come to my office, when I say I write all day, like I take this to work with me, because at any moment, a thought, something, I have a note section in my phone.
Yep.
And it's there, like dreams. If I can remember them fresh, I write down everything. Like, I had a dream this morning. Everything I can remember verbatim, I record that, because I've noticed over the last few years, my other one right here, and this one I use because I call it my receipts. So I'll write down goals, and I'll say, this is what I want to do. Accomplishments, and I have dates. And so there'll be times I feel discouraged, and I call it getting the receipts from God. And I go back, he did this, he did, like, pages slashed out of prayer requests done. And it's like, you have to have a record of and I keep journals, notebooks all around, because that's my lane. I've been writing since I was like 13. So that was my thing as a kid, keeping a diary, a journal. And I just carried that with me throughout my life. But yeah, talking, having those mental meetings, as Evan called it, it's necessary. And I think us being who we are now as adults and in these spaces, as far as being educators and people in business, it's definitely a lifeline for sure.
Yeah.
So.
And another thing I do to keep to keep humble and always remind myself where I come from, I have like checks from my old jobs when I was like 15, 20, college checks. And anytime I complain about money, I always go back to my old checks. And I'll be looking at them things like, good Lord.
How did I make it?
I'll tell you, I don't care. I had one check that was like $130, bro. And it said 40 hours worked on that bottom of it. And I was just like, I can never. That's one of the things I've done this year, or one of my my pledges to myself, to stop complaining, because we have come so far. Yeah. So far. Sometimes we get lost in track, because we get lost in our success. We get lost in life, that we forget, like, yo, you wasn't making this that you're making right now back then. And it wasn't too long ago, to be real with you. You know what I'm saying? So, like, chill. Like, you're doing good. Just remember, never forget where you've come from, bro. Like, so I always remind myself that. Like, yeah, you're right. In one of my mental meetings, I'm like, yeah, you're right. My bad, bro.
That's really good. Yeah. Definitely want to bring you all back together, because I just like this dynamic. I like the chemistry of the conversation, and bringing a lot of value. So I appreciate both of you for joining me. So before we close everything out, did you all have any like nuggets or takeaways, or little words to the wise until come back for the next conversation, and also where people can reach you on social media?
I'll go first. I'll share as a takeaway what I just took from what you just said, bro. Chill, you're doing good. I'm a sticky note person, so I'm gonna put that right here, because sometimes you forget, And it's easy to forget because circumstances, stuff is happening. But sometimes just to be reminded, chill, you're doing good. So that's my takeaway. That's my pass on. If you're watching this, just chill. You're doing good. And my name's Evan.
And where can they find you on social media?
Oh, yeah. You can just, it's Coach Ev is right there on the screen. I'm on all platforms, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, as well as my website. And if you're in a space where you're looking to grow your business and not per se your brand, hit my line. I'm the guy for you.
Sealz?
Oh no, what's the link to the book, bro? Like what's
for the book Rich Kids, just go to my website www.coachev.com and hit Rich Kids in the top menu. You can get it on Amazon. It'll be at your house in 2 days.
Gotta put that out there. I'm buying that tonight.
Thank you.
I should have worn my your shirt. See, my bad. I totally forgot about that. My name is Sealz. My takeaway tonight was this collaboration, and not being afraid to collaborate, right? Because a lot of us can have egos sometimes. We can think that we're too above collaborating with people. I don't care how many subscribers I get. I'm a collaborate with anyone I feel has a similar like-mindedness or a spirit like me. Like, I would love to collaborate with y'all. So, and that's why I do it every time we see. Like, if I'm available, I'm here because people get too big. They get too big-headed. They get too much. I'll never, like I said, never forget where I come from. So, collaboration is awesome. You meet new people, like I just met you, Ev. It's been an honor to share this platform, Camille's platform with you. That's my takeaway. So I thank y'all for collaborating with me and invite me. You can reach me. I'm not on Instagram like I should be, but when I took that break, I never came back.
Hey,
that happens a lot.
YouTube is understanding the assignment, so it's all good.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
You're city.
What a comment in it.
Yeah. But I'm Sealz the man on everything. YouTube, Instagram. And we also got to talk about day trading, bro. I definitely put you on that. That was a life changer for me. Like I literally, you were talking about how late that us as a people like get on things. Like I literally learned how to day trade and invest period during COVID. I didn't have nothing to do. I was at home, so everybody was home. So I was like, oh, let me check out this investing thing, not knowing that 2 years later it would change my life forever. So
wow.
Investing and day trading is.
Yeah, when Ev was talking about that, I was thinking about maybe somehow you guys collab somehow virtually and put something together to add us another cohort onto what Evan does for the kids and maybe bring out the financial aspect of trading. So that was on my mind. So I'm glad you said that.
For sure. I'll definitely take a trip out to ATL for sure.
Cool.
But yeah, thank you. Once again, thank you for inviting me to your platform. Thank you for introducing me to Coach Evan. And it's been great.
Definitely. We're going to wrap things up. Just hang around after we wrap up the show just for like a debrief and then we'll be done. With that being said, everyone, thank you for rocking with me. And it's something Sealz said about supporters. Thank you for supporting me because although I took a hiatus, a lot of people take a hiatus and the people go away. Mm-hmm. The fact that I can take a hiatus and they're here, that means a lot. So I really appreciate you, Sealz, and Ev for hanging with me throughout this journey, and to everyone listening and watching. I'm now at 110 streaming episodes, and I'm super excited about that. More to come. Who would have thought little church girl from Tennessee would have a podcast one day? I didn't know, but I'm super humble. Thank you. Thank you to you both. I'm so appreciative just because two good guys, brothers, always been respectful to me. No strings, no funny business, just men of integrity. We get on here, we have conversations. We may not always agree, but it's always a good space and it's always a warm fuzzy anytime I talk to either one of you. And you all have really just had a little space in my heart, both of you, just because I see what you do afar in the conversations that we have. And you all are so bright, so intelligent, and just making an impact out here for our other brothers and youngsters too. So I just wanted to openly give both of you your flowers and just say thank you so much just for showing up and being who you are as men. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All. This is Camille. I'm host of the Speaker Podcast. And we have some new guests coming up in the month of September. So be sure to follow me on Instagram at Camille.Estic. And I hope that you all are blessed. Good night.